Hi there, I'm Matthew Dykes. Welcome to Business Confidential. I'll be your host today, and we are here with Shine Direct Primary Care, Dr. Romero, Dr. Francis Romero, because apparently there are two, and so we're going to let her talk about that. So, Dr. Romero, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And it's a pleasure. I'm really excited about this today, guys, because we're going to cover some ground that doesn't always get talked about, which is hence the name Business Confidential. We want to answer questions that don't get asked, or if they do, they're answered privately. So, Dr. Romero, do me a favor. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people, who are you, where are you from, and what do you do, and let's get into it.
Okay, excellent. So I am Dr. Francis Romero. I'm a board certified family physician. I'm also a North American Menopause Society certified practitioner. And I am the owner of Shine Direct Primary Care. I am originally from Puerto Rico. Went went to school there, did all my education there except my residency. I finished my family medicine residency at Lehigh Valley Hospital, and then moved to North Carolina, and then ended up here in Florida just chasing the sun. I was chasing the sun. It was too dark, too gray in Pennsylvania, so I knew I couldn't stay there. That's how I ended up here.
As a northerner, I can attest to that. I'm not from Pennsylvania, I'm from Ohio, but yes, there are a lot of dark, gray, milky days.
I couldn't handle it. I think the seasonal affective disorder really hit me. And
Yeah.
I'm very open with that. It hits you hard, especially coming from tropical paradise. I was born in the sun. I always consider myself a sunflower. I'm always like, woo, where's the sun? Where's the sun?
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up here.
Wonderful. Well, I really have to mention that people don't understand. Look, it's not doctors just telling you, you have to get your vitamin D.
Right.
You need your vitamin
You
D.
need your vitamin
It's
D.
absolutely, you're like the flower.
Yep.
You were wilt, and no doubt about it.
That's how it felt. It felt so coming from Puerto Rico and moving from all places to Pennsylvania in that first winter that I was still trying to walk with my flip-flops because of course.
Yes. Well, that's what you do.
That's
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah.
And not feeling that it's 50 degrees and I'm still cold and I can't handle it. All of that shine went away. But yeah, you do need that vitamin D. You need to go out in the sun. I always tell my patients, look, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, go for a walk just to get that sun in. And after, of course, let's protect our skin. We do need to protect our skin with some SPF.
Mm-hmm. So let's get right into your practice.
Yes.
And I don't want to just talk about, just give me the highlights. Let's talk about your practice, and then let's talk about, some of your favorite parts about your practice.
Okay. Well, so Shine Direct Primary Care came out from the need to help everyone get health care. There is a big problem nowadays. We think that having insurance will get us health care when that's not correct. When I was in residency, this is very interesting because how I ended up having a direct primary care practice started with residency. When I was in residency doing my training, I did underserved medicine. That was my north.
Describe that for me.
medicine,
What's underserved medicine?
So underserved medicine is taking care of people that do not have the resources to get health care. They don't have insurance or they are in a government program.
Okay.
Right. So they're below the poverty level. They're not making any income or they're not making enough income. So I worked in a very poor area in Pennsylvania, and I took care of a lot of people that needed healthcare and had a lot of complex issues. But this is the thing that I figured is that there were a lot of people that had government insurance, and I was able to get them everything. Now, yes, it was extra paperwork, whatever, signatures here and there, but I was able to get them. The other thing is that there were a lot of programs available for them that I can use to provide them healthcare. And then I had another subset of people who had amazing, amazing, amazing insurance. And I could get everything for them. But then there were the people in the middle. The people in the middle that were business owners or that worked for small businesses or made enough money to not qualify for these other helps that were available. So then these people had a lot of issues getting health care. They had to pay a ton of money to get the services that they needed. Nothing was covered under their insurance, right? They had to pay a very high deductible. And then these people, what ended up happening was that they never followed through. I ended up, after I graduated, I ended up working as an urgent care physician for a while, growing my family. So I needed some time, so I did urgent care. And what happened in the urgent care is that I had people come in and say, well, I didn't go to my primary care physician because they didn't have time, or every time I go there, I have to pay a copay and I don't even know how much I'm going to pay at the end of the day. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's a problem. And then after, right, working as a primary care physician in one of the big hospitals, I would get people and I'm like, why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you come to me to fix this problem? This shouldn't be an urgent care problem. This is a primary care problem. So the people would tell me, well, Dr. Romero, there were no appointments. There's no appointments. The next appointment was in 6 weeks. I needed this to be solved now. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Okay. Ended up going to a conference and I saw these two individuals that were doing direct primary care. And the 10 people that were, including me, that were watching this individual talk, we were all crying. We were like, oh my God, we can do medicine different. We can stop choppy care, which is people go here, go there, and never get the answers because they don't have a captain of the ship.
Sure. Well, right. And they have to be their own advocate.
And you have to be, right?
Yeah.
But you also want to have your physician to be your advocate.
Yeah. And too often it gets, it's not that they're gatekeepers, but they're gatekeepers. There's so many different layers. You have to ask so many different people questions and things get lost in translation.
Correct.
Or some people come into work to make their paycheck and they don't necessarily aren't the best at what they do. So you don't get the right answer. So
Correct, yes.
So you're saying this kind of just takes all of the middle people out and you are now, so if I had a question or I had a problem, I could get directly to you and say, and I guess that's where the direct primary care comes in.
Yeah, that's where the direct primary care comes in, right? Yeah. So doing this, it makes it easy for the patient and it makes it easy for me, right? So this is a two-way relationship. Right. Where we remove those intermediaries. So intermediaries would be a lot of insurance companies, a lot of people that you have to ask questions. Like all of my patients have my phone number. They can always send me a text. And if they don't hear from me right away, they're going to hear from one of my assistants, right? Because our practice is small. I don't have to take care of 2,000 people. It makes it worthwhile for patients just to become members. Right. So you're removing all those barriers. I'll have a lot of patients that send me text messages and they go, hey, Dr. Romero, I have a question. Depending on the question, right, I'll answer it right away. Or I go, let's just get you in. And you can get an appointment that same day or the next day. It should be easy. Healthcare should not be complicated.
No, health is what's complicated. And that shouldn't be hard either, but it's been made hard.
It's been made hard. Yeah. The system makes it hard for patients to get health care. All the intermediaries, all the insurance companies are making it just difficult for people to get health care. Sometimes just a simple answer. Sometimes just being with the patient for 45 minutes or an hour gives me all the information that I need to say, oh, wait a second. no, 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 no. This is what we have to do. And these are our plans, plan A, plan B, plan C. So the patient feels that they're listened to. The patient feels that, oh, okay, Dr. Romero is thinking about everything that needs to be done to get to the next step. And then I feel better. So that's why I love direct primary care. So Shine Direct Primary Care, it's part of a movement. It's part of a movement where physicians and other medical providers, we're looking at patient care, and we want to provide the best care possible. Like, we went to medical school to take care of patients. We did not go to medical school to take care of insurance companies.
Well, I mean, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's, I guess, what it comes down to anymore. So you take care of the patient, and it's not cost prohibitive.
Correct.
But you have some specialties that you really enjoy working on. So there may be some people out there that have been struggling with a few places. So talk to me about what are some of your specialties. And really, it's not a specialty because you chose it because you had to choose something. You
Correct.
chose this because you love this, right?
I do. So I love family medicine. I went to medical school knowing that I was going to be a family physician. And I think it's because it gives me so many things. I love to learn and learn about a lot of things. But then at some point I wanted to be a gynecologist, but I am not a big fan of OB, right? So obstetrics. I think that obstetrics is beautiful, but I'm going to leave it for people that really love it.
Sure.
Right. But I love menopause care. I think it's fascinating to understand what happens to us women and everybody else around us where we are kind of moving through that transitional process in our lives. Like, it's like women, we're always transitioning into something, right? We're always going from little kids to puberty, and then we become mothers. And after being a mother, we are empty nesters, and then bam, what happens to our bodies?
Right.
What just happened here? And I think that we need to talk more about it. We need to be open about it. So, during the past a year and 2 years, I've been immersing myself into menopause care, which I think is just fascinating.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that because it's so rare that people get to do what they love to do,
Mhm.
but to have a passion for it and to really find it interesting over and over again, day in and day out. But the great thing about seeing different patients every day is it's a new story. Just like me, I get to
Yes.
talk to people with different stories
Yes.
every single day.
Yes.
And I love that because everybody deserves to tell their story, right?
Correct. Yes.
So this story has a lot of misconceptions though
Yeah.
with menopause. And this is not coming from the men's side of thing, okay? My wife, I did read something with my wife. We were talking about it as we were preparing for the show, and she said, "Did you know that by, I think it was the age 51, that the body, when it stops producing the eggs, no more estrogen, and you pretty much start to disintegrate." I'm like,
Oh
come
my
on,
God.
man, it can't be that bad, right? I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to ask Dr. Romero tomorrow and find out.
No, we don't disintegrate.
Okay.
We don't. We don't disintegrate. Just think about it as a new opportunity to enjoy ourselves more. So one thing that happens during menopause, it's a transition, right? So our ovaries are the main producers of estrogens, but there are other parts in our bodies that are producing estrogen. So estrogen is a hormone. We got to start with basics. What are hormones? Hormones are messengers, right? So imagine a little car taking the message inside of the cell. Okay, like insulin is a hormone. Estrogen and progesterone and testosterone are hormones. So they are sending messages to different cells of our bodies.
Sure.
And in the cells, we have little receptors, right? So little doors that are opening and closing. So once we are reaching menopause, and I have to say that with a set of salt, how do you say it in my Spanish and my English? With take it with a salt, like a
Take it,
salt of grain.
take it with a grain of
Grain
salt.
of
Yeah,
salt, grain
yeah.
of salt.
No, that was it. You had
I
it.
got it.
It's all about conjugation, and that messes me up going the other way as well.
Remember that. I speak English, Spanish, and Spanglish.
Yeah. And I don't do any of them very well. So we'll learn together.
We'll learn together, right? It's been a process. So as we are, growing older, our receptors are not recepting, right? They're there and they're waiting for the signal. And because of the ovaries are not producing that much estrogen, then the signal goes, hey, we need something here. We need something here. And what happens is that we start feeling foggy. We start feeling like we don't have any energy. And everything in our bodies feels that it's disintegrating when it's not. Okay. So what we have to do is really look at how we feel and how we treat this with either estrogen therapy, with progesterone therapy, or even testosterone therapy. Like there are so many ways that we can work with menopause. And one thing, and I want to talk about misconceptions about menopause, is that we think that we have to wait until we don't have a period to really look into menopause. There's a stage that is called perimenopause, which are the 10 years that come before. That's when we start feeling like, I don't know, there's something off. That's when our periods get a little bit wacky, and we start feeling a little snappy, or we feel like we're tired more often than not. And that you couple that with the fact that in our 30s and our 40s, especially in our 40s, our kids are still growing up. We're still taking them to basketball and baseball practice. And we're starting to take care of our parents as well. So there's a lot of stress involved when we are going through that transition into menopause. That makes it even more difficult for women, and they feel that they're disintegrating.
Well, and so many times life gets in the way.
Correct.
And they're like, well, something must be wrong with me. No, it's natural process. It's just you need to be you need to be cognizant of the fact that, listen, you're not going to stay exactly the same as you go. And because you're taking care of everybody else, you still have to continue to take care of you. So at what age should women start really thinking about this? Is it 40 a good age to really?
Interesting is that we need to start the conversation earlier on.
Okay.
This is not a conversation that should start in your 50s, right?
This
is not a conversation. No, this is not a conversation that should start, oh, wait a second, I've skipped 3 periods. No, the conversation should be happening with your primary care physician or with your GYN earlier on, like early in your early in your 40s, right? When you start noticing, oh, wait a second, I feel more anxious than usual. I feel more tired than usual. Did you know that a lot of women are started on antidepressants because they feel more anxious? And the reality is that the cause of the anxiety is the ups and downs of estrogen levels and progesterone levels during their 40s. So the 40s is the time in a woman that we start experiencing all of these changes, and it feels like we're going crazy when we're actually not. You're going through a normal transition in your body. But because it's normal, it doesn't mean that it can't be treated.
Right.
Okay? Because people say, I hear it all the time, well, it's menopause, just get over it.
I'm going to venture a guess that most people that say that are men.
Well, it's not my partner because he knows better.
Right. Well, but that brings up a really good point. So, women do need to start thinking about that earlier on.
Yes.
And what they can do is they can talk to their doctor, talk to you, and say, what timing do we need to start thinking about that? But the other side of that is, once they do that, is there a good way to have an approach with your partner and talk about, look, these are some changes that are going on. I'm going to need you to come into the doctor's office with me. She can help explain this, because sometimes you think I'm mad and I'm not. Sometimes you think I'm upset and I'm not. Sometimes you look over at me and I'm crying and you you don't know what to do. I mean, what do you is there something we as men and as someone who loves their wife very much,
Mm,
what can we do to help?
what can you do as a partner? And it can be any type of partner, right? So it's important that you are one, that you have a good relationship. You need to have a good relationship with your partner. You have to be friends with your partner. It's so important because having trust, it's what's going to set these difficult conversations. It's very difficult for women to just go to their partners and say, "Oh my God, everything is changing inside of me." It is, because that means that it's our relationship going to change. Is my relationship with everybody else going to change? What are you going to think of me? But this is nothing to be ashamed of. This is a normal, natural process that we women go through. Um, but I think that the important part here is to let your partner know, hey, I think this is what's happening. Okay? I think that I've been monitoring my periods, and this time of the month, I get a little bit snappy. So if something happens, please do not take it personal. But you
Right.
have to have those conversations, and your partner has to be open
Sure. Yeah.
to, yeah, because that's the other thing, right? So you can try to have these conversations and your partner might say, oh, I don't care. You need to have a really good, respectful partner that just wants to be with you through this,
Right.
through these changes. Bring them. But that's personal. I love to have these conversations in the office. But I love to teach. Like I have a big TV and I bring out the menstrual period and I go, this is what happens, right? And I show the partner. I also teach a lot of my women. This is what's happening to you. And that's where it starts. A woman needs to be aware. These are the changes. And in order to be aware, I always tell my patients, I really want you to start looking at your period in terms of your emotions. How do you feel? Are you feeling foggy in the middle of your period? Are you feeling down? Are you feeling like you want to cry? And you have to note all of those things. You need to have your little notebook. Okay, I feel, because then data, I love data. The more data that you have, the more you can see the patterns, and then more you can tell your partner, hey, you see that this is the pattern? I just want you to hold my hand. I just want you to be here for me. The same way I'm going to be here for you. Just understand that this is a natural process, and bring them over, bring them to the office. You want to bring them to my office and we'll talk about it, we'll do it. Because
Right. Well, sure.
this is just important for everybody involved. Menopause is not only a women's issue, it's a family issue.
Mhm.
It is a partner issue because it affects everybody in your
But
household.
they don't have to just be satisfied with, well, this is all I can do.
Correct.
You have some processes and things
Yes.
that they can do
Yes.
to fix. So we know that there's a problem.
Mhm.
We've sought out help for the problem. We've got help talking to our partner. Now, what should women do at that point? Do they start talking about, well, what types of therapy are good for me?
Mhm. Yeah. So, look, menopause therapy, it shouldn't be complicated, shouldn't be very expensive. There are many, many ways that, as a menopause certified practitioner, there are many ways that I treat my patients that are undergoing menopause, even before menopause. So the definition of menopause is not having your period for 12 months. But then you have that perimenopause uh, years, like it's like 10 years before you actually don't have a period for 1 year. During those times, we can start estrogen therapy, we can start progesterone therapy, we can start testosterone therapy, which, by the way, is one of the biggest misconceptions out there, that women do not need testosterone. Women do we need testosterone. We don't produce it as much as men, but we do produce testosterone. And so, when you start noticing, you know what, I love my partner, but I don't have a libido. Hey, Bam. That's a sign right there that you need to come and talk to the doctor, or come talk to me about how I can help, because there's so many products out there. There are patches, there are gels, there are creams. There are many products that are bioidentical, and they are affordable.
Right.
So if you can't tolerate something, let's say a patch, there's patches, and the adhesive is too strong for you,
Sure.
we can compound. Like, there are so many ways that we can help women go through this transition.
So, what's the one thing that you would tell women? So, this is a great opportunity and platform to be able to do this. You're going to talk to a lot of people you typically wouldn't.
Mhm.
So, knowing that you have a captive audience right now, um, women from all different walks of life,
Uh-huh.
different ages, what's the one thing, if you had this audience, which you do, what would you say to them?
Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel ashamed of talking about this. Don't feel that you have to keep this to yourself. There's help available. I would say, if you're looking for help during the perimenopause and menopause, you got to go to someone who is certified from the North American Menopause Society, because we see things different. You're going to go to a lot of medical providers and physicians out there that are not up to date with the data. Because if you look at medicine, there's just so much to learn. Not everyone can keep up,
Sure.
right? And so they're going to tell you, well, you have to wait to get menopause care. You got to wait those 12 months. And in the meantime, your house is suffering, your work is suffering because you can't do your job.
Right.
You're so anxious that you can't do anything.
And
No,
you're suffering.
you're right. It's just
Yeah,
everybody, and you are suffering because you're a woman. You want to be the best that you can.
sure.
So find help, either from me or for someone who is certified by the North American Menopause Society. And there is, like, their website, I think, is nams.org. You
Mhm.
can go there, and I'm here in Naples and in Bonita Springs.
So that was my next question. So where are you located here locally? You said Naples, Bonita Springs. Do you have a third one coming
No,
online soon,
maybe,
or
maybe.
maybe? No. All right,
Hopefully.
we'll hold off on that one.
But no, so Bonita Springs and Naples. So I have an office in Bonita Springs, and then the other one is right here in Naples. Do you need the address? Or?
Yeah, I would love to hear. Give me your how. So if someone wants to talk to you,
Mhm.
what's the best way to get in touch with Shine?
So the best way is, one, sending us a text. We like text messaging. So the phone number is 239-237-5688. You can always send us a text, because this office is so small that sometimes we don't answer the phone. And it's not because we don't want to take your call. It's because we're doing so many things at the same time. So the best thing to do is just send us a text message and we'll call you back. The other way is going to the website. So the website is www.shinedpc.com. Then you're going to see a picture of me there. It says enroll now. Click there, put all of your information, and then we'll see you as soon as that same week.
Well, and one thing I want to mention before we go, because you've been a great guest today, I really appreciate you taking time for us today. One thing that I was really delighted to see is you have a program there for business owners. And being a small business owner who does not have insurance,
Mm-hmm.
I was delighted to see that, and it's very cost effective. And for businesses out there that
Yes.
would like to provide insurance for their, not just their spouses, but for their employees. Tell me a little bit about that real quick.
So, Shine Direct Primary Care has a small and medium business program where, as long as you have 5 or more employees, we give you a special rate. So it's $85 a month per employee, and it includes unlimited primary care. So anytime your employee needs something, they can come into the office. We take care of it. We also included in the membership, we do have very cost-effective labs. We also have cost-effective imaging. So one thing to know about healthcare is that cash is king.
Yeah. Not just in healthcare.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I just a lot of people think that healthcare is just so expensive. Insurance
Sure.
companies make it expensive. It shouldn't be. So what I do is that I take care of the employees. So you come in, we do your annual. We also, if there's any situation at work, then you can come in and we decide whether or not I'm going to take care of it, or you go through workman's comp. Right? It depends on the injury, but there are certain things that I can take care of that are part of family medicine that I just take care of, right?
Hmm.
And then I can take care of their family as well. Yeah, it's I love the program. I take care of a few small businesses in the area, and they come in. The other thing that works is that I offer virtual visits, so your employees do not have to take time off just to see me. Or even if they have, they're sick and they have to stay home,
Yeah.
I can see them virtually, and it's not going to cost them anything. And if I have to see a patient 2 or 3 times during the month because it happens that I'm working on something with them, I work with them. There's no extra charge, there's no extra copay. It's simple. It's simple for the small business, it's cost effective for the small business, and it's also cost effective for the employee.
So you heard it. Get to shinedpc.com. Am I
Yes.
right about that?
Yes.
That's right. She is Dr. Frances Romero. I am Matthew Dykes with Business Confidential. Thanks so much for joining us today. Want to thank our sponsors, Studio 239, Tim and Diana. Tim and Diana. And I also want to thank Keith Wallace at Wallace Entertainment and Guerilla Media, because that's me and Hope's company. So thanks so much for joining us today. Make sure you like us, subscribe to this, share this all over. This has had some of the most insightful things for people, not just women, but for men that actually care about the women in their life. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you out there on socials and in live and real person. So we'll see you soon.